They just say pretty much, come on in everybody and let's have a conversation. But when we go in there as business owners for specific work that we're trying to do, what happens, the first mistake people make is this. They start posting like they're friends. They start posting looking for friends and not for business. Their postings are more looking for friendships and not business. That's the first issue that I've noticed inside the networks. They're doing friendly stuff that you wouldn't normally do if you were looking for business. And one of the other things in that same vein, I'm going to kind of repeat it over again here, is that when you think about your current business relationships that you have right now, the ones that you have, when you first started to deal with them, your first reason you were attracted to them was because they could solve a problem, not who they were. You had a problem and you were looking for someone to solve it first. And then you figured out that you kind of liked them and that there was something of more interest. But you didn't care about them. You didn't care what grades they got in school. You didn't really care if they got an F in gym class. All you cared about was, can this person solve my problem? That's all you thought about. Think about your doctor right now if you have a doctor. Would it have mattered if your doctor got an F in gym? Not as long as he can cure me. I really don't care what he got in gym class because it's my problem. So the first thing is people post looking for friends and not for business. The other mistake people make is that people are creating non-targeted social network messages. Non-targeted. In other words, they'll post something, but it's not targeted enough toward that particular industry, toward that particular profession that's going on. So you got to go into networks, you got to look for targeting. You got to target networks, looking for targeted groups of people. And then the last one is that mistake they make is that they go into the networks and they're not looking to measure their results. They have no way to measure actually if something is really occurring. And inside the networks, you will hear people talk about, well, there's engagement and there's conversation. But how do we convert engagement into conversation unless we have a way to measure that? So we can have a lot of people chatting about something, but we have to have a way to move them through so that we can actually measure what is actually occurring. So what am I really supposed to be doing? What am I really supposed to be doing inside those social networks? Well, at first, I used to think this. Inside the social networks, I'm supposed to be having a conversation at first. Then I thought, inside the social networks, I'm supposed to engage everyone. That's what I thought. Then I finally came to this part and someone told me, what you're supposed to do inside the networks is build relationships. That's what you're supposed to do, Johnny. And then I come to realize they're wrong. You can't build a relationship until you first build trust. That's what has to happen first. They have to trust you. And they trust you in a business apparatus. They trust you based on your expertise and your knowledge and your ability to solve problems. You first have to build trust with people. They have to see that you're credible first. That's the first thing that has to happen. A relationship is the back end of this. The first thing that has to happen is there has to be trust. Because they'd never have a relationship with you if they didn't trust you first. So you have to build trust. Now, building trust is what I'm doing. How do I get people to actually buy things? Well, you have to think about what exactly you're going to be selling to them. And here's what I mean by it. No matter what product or service in here that you choose to promote or sell, whether you're offline or you're an online marketer right now, whatever you're trying to sell or offer to individuals, you're really not selling your product or your service to individuals in a social space. What you're really selling to them is courage, confidence, and certainty in an uncertain world. That's what you're actually selling to people, whether you're online or offline. I sold insurance. Do you think I was really selling insurance, or was I selling certainty in an uncertain world? I was selling something that in case something bad happens, we will step into the space and cover you. When you think about what you sell, its actual emotional value is going to come down to courage, confidence, or certainty. Thinking about the products and services that you sell, because people buy for those reasons. They buy your product because that gives them the courage to implement whatever it is. Or it gives them confidence that they won't get lost. Or it gives them certainty that your guarantee, your warranty will be there in case something happens. And that's what we actually sell in there. And that's what the real conversation is about when you're trying to make money inside the networks. That's what you're really selling to them. You're not talking about the product so directly, you're talking about these things to them and why this makes sense to them. And then they themselves make the decision whether or not they are truly interested and they want to engage you and pursue you further. So, just like we talked about, what are we looking for? We want them to show me the money. And as I said before, if you want the money, you must offer them courage, confidence, and certainty. If you want to actually show them the money. If you want to see the money come to you. And if you got any questions as we go along here, just raise your hand, throw it up, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Okay. So the biggest question is always, with social media, would everyone agree that there are 1 million social media sites? Would everyone agree on that?
Yes.
Well, right about now there's a lot, but there's probably about, what I've heard, about 1,600 that are really the ones. But I really focus on the foundational networks. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about, is the foundational networks. There are a lot of these other networks have sprouted out to become almost as if they are facilitators. They're there to support the foundation networks. We're going to talk about the ones that are the foundation of all of this. But where do we really get started with all of these things? Because someone comes along and they said, well, you should do Facebook, and you should do this, and you should do that. So where do you really get started? Well, where we get started at is we start to understand who we're dealing with first. Now what this is here is a sales funnel that I developed for selling in the social media space here. And it's my own little sales funnel here. Interest, connection, like, trust, and then the sale occurs. Now what do I mean by that? Interest is this. We as marketers, as business owners, do not have the capacity to make someone interested. We don't have enough money or time to do that. Do you know how much money they spent to make us believe that we should pay for water? Do you know that? How much money they spent to frighten us to believe that we should go to a store and pay $3 for a bottle of water that I could have got out of my tap for free or for pennies. There's a big campaign for that. Anyone here like their $3 coffee? Spend a lot of money trying to help you understand that buying that coffee at $3 a cup is better than just regular. But here's the thing. They didn't say buy the coffee. They didn't say buy the water. What they did was they created a situation that caused you to be interested first. They created a situation. And then you yourself became interested. See, that's the thing, is that in the social network space, I'm not looking for everybody. I'm only looking for people who are already interested. Like when Mark and I set this event up here, for this meetup group for this particular program, the people that are here are the ones that are interested. You know, they saw what was being offered and they were interested, and that's why you're here today. It wasn't about me telling you you should show up, come on, or standing outside trying to force you to come in here. You were already interested. So my job is not to make you interested. My job is to create the connection. Is that to help you see that what I have to offer will work with what you're doing. So the connection starts. Once the connection happens, then you have to, as you hear me talk and see what I'm doing, then you have to decide whether you like me or not based on what you're learning about me. And if you start to like me, then I start to give you advice on how to implement these things in your own organization, in your own business. And you start seeing results, you start to trust me. And when you start to trust me, then you're willing to buy something from me. And that's how the social network starts to evolve and starts to work when you're dealing with individuals. They have to go through these phases here. So if someone is not interested, the sale is already over with. There's no point in continuing on because they're just not interested. You move on to someone else. You wait for other people to come along and find your website or your page, and you move on from there. That's why I said that you really don't need thousands of people. You need 200 to 300 that are truly interested in what you've got, who are true fans.
How do you find your audience first? There's demographics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you may be going after a particular type of individual or a particular group or profession that's going to be interested in what you're doing. How do you first find that demographic group and then drill down and